taking pictures of?
I'm doing a documentary for my school. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On what? Traffic? What?
No. The local businesses around here being bought out and stuff.
You're being bought out?
Well, yeah, like you know, like Joe Bot, that coffee shop that used to be there, they had to move over, and then like all those shops on Fifth Street right here, they're being currently
Pushed out.
Pushed out, yeah, basically. Yeah.
Been like that for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's never gonna change, brother.
If you could just clap for us.
Me?
Yeah,
No,
you.
no, no. Yeah.
For him? No?
All right, perfect. All right, first and last name and how to spell it?
First name is Tony, Tony. Last name Chantaval, Chanthabong.
Kendall Jones, Community Outreach Coordinator with Local First Arizona.
Carla, Carla, Chavarria, Chabarria.
Pablo Sapien, that's Pablosapien. You can also call me Pretty Pablo. You can find me on Instagram at pretty_Pablo. Twitter, Pablo Tweets_. And Facebook has my government name as well.
I am the owner of Snow Ice Shavery, uptown and downtown.
We work to empower individuals, businesses, and policymakers on the impact that local businesses and the local movement makes, and how we can really influence the amount of jobs and economic development for the better and for all Arizonans here.
In this community, lately people are telling me a downtown slut. Downtown slut, I guess. I've been being called that, yeah.
So I've been in this community since like 2012-ish. Late 2011, early 2012. And I do a couple of things. So one, I have like a design agency, and one of our office is on 16th Street in Washington. But I'm also like involved in like community organizing. So a lot of like our stuff is based here in the downtown area. So different coffee shops as well as just sort of like organizing spaces, and then also anything that's going on like politically, like it's always downtown somewhere.
The Roosevelt, you know, it's thankful to be part of the art district. I've been hanging around here for a good, past decade, over a decade. I've been in Arizona for 13 years. Hung out, I was down here when the art district was still at its raw core. There was a lot of independent underground artists. People didn't want to come down here, and then but it was just a lot. It was a strong of our community and music. But now that things are changing, I feel good that new generations coming in. But I'm still trying to keep the core of having a good local artsy business. That caters to the crowd, what the people want down here.
It's always really tough because what we really want in the end is for Phoenix and Arizona to thrive, and we want people to connect to their community. And so to have people, instead of going for urban sprawl, as we've really seen, and understanding that our landscape with mountains and valleys allows for urban sprawl to happen very naturally, but for this new wave of individuals to want to come back to the core, to the urban cores, and connect and live and play is really exciting.
I love downtown. I love the community. I love the people in it. I love coming down here, just talking to random people.
It took Roosevelt Road to be number one on First Fridays of being 20,000 people, and across the whole United States, to be the biggest art walk in the nation. Roosevelt Road has built that foundation throughout the years, and now that these other things are changing and people are buying out local small galleries and turning it out, I feel like it's losing its value.
Because everyone wanted to be a part of something, and downtown was just so it was more locals only kind of attitude. Like that's how Melt was. It's like just sold ice cream to locals, and it did well, but it wasn't where it needed to be. Like it needed to be heard. It needed a voice, and I felt like it was my job to let people know what was going on with social media and just getting people out and to come out and check out Fifth Street, which was the center of art.
Feelings of small art galleries, I think it's great. Now being bought out, no.
And so, in regards to the art galleries that we've seen close very recently, I know that there are plans to at least keep the buildings intact. And I think that as a community, we need to remember to come together and realize what made Roosevelt Row so special and successful.
I think I don't mind the change, but I think it needs to be more. They still need to keep, the locals who made Roosevelt Row for what it is, today. You know what I mean?
I know it's like a big part of like just developing the community and developing just sort of like where downtown Phoenix is at. But it's also really sad to see that people are driving out the natives.
Art plays as a visionary. It's an outlook of it gives an open mindedness to see what you're gonna look into the future of creativity and stuff like that. Being consciously aware. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's not only an expression of your feelings and your hopes, your dreams, but your fears and everything else that goes along with it.
Art is definitely necessary for a community. Art, culture, the people.
The future of Roosevelt Row, I see it as a space where there's going to be a lot more local businesses, maybe more so restaurants and retail in the beginning. But if we can keep the uniqueness and vibrancy here, be it through First Fridays and allowing again the space for the reason why we started Roosevelt Row, right? It was for the artist community. It was started by the artists of this community.
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't say anything. There's people who are trying to do their best to keep Roosevelt Row, with this, being like authentic, but with all these new apartments and big corporate, buyouts, that the future for it is not as promising that it will be like what it was years before. You know what I mean?
People started like, all right, I want to go. I have a bunch of money, and there's money to be made. So they started buying property, started buying businesses and stuff like that. So we knew it was coming. We just didn't think it was gonna be like this fast.
I'll be honest, Fifth Street is already dying. It's already dead right now. I mean, like after Joe Bot left, I think after Joe Bot, didn't leave, but they just couldn't, pay the bills no more on that street.
For one, I think it's again bringing different people into the community, but two, it's also driving people out. And for me, what I like to see is like sort of like a plan to see how people are in that community are going to be, it's like sustainability within that community and how they're going to be able to still live there.
Roosevelt Row is moving up in a sense that it's building up condos, high rises. We're definitely going to get a different crowd of people, which for the people that are already established, could be good. It means more businesses, more chance for people to actually be able to express themselves artistically. But at the same time, we might get those people who are going to just take advantage of it as well. Like I see it right now, like I see people coming downtown and taking, doing their photos behind, in front of art, and not giving the artist credit.
My biggest fear is that if we see some businesses maybe closing or having to move, that the community will leave. And I think that that's a fear that everybody has, and I think that that's a natural fear. In the end, with these high-rise condos, I think that we can really take an opportunity to look at what other cities do, and if we can allow for like ground floor retail and restaurant space, or even mixed-use art space for local businesses, artists, the community, etc., then we'll be able to keep the people here and the dollars here and the jobs here. But my greatest fear is that if we start to see little changes, that people will get scared and leave.
So it's changed, man. It's changed. There's no doubt about it. We adapt. It's heartbreaking for a lot of locals that I know, a lot of Phoenicians. For me, it kind of is, but for me, for business-wise, I think it's also heartbreaking because there's too many apartments being built and there's not enough good local businesses, people who are leaving or who can't afford the rent. They're leaving and they're losing what what made downtown art district. You know, the businesses, the galleries, and all that stuff. This is what made Roosevelt Row what it is. You know.
Personally, I love to see all of the new businesses that have been able to come down here and open, like Snow, Antique Sugar, Cobra Arcade, right here on this one block. It's really inspiring, and I think that as a community, we need to open our eyes and stay vigilant, and also stand up and say, hey, this is what I want in my community, because then policymakers will know that that is either making or breaking their next election.
And you know, if you go to college or whatever, you want to be able to afford, you know, having an apartment down here, or just anybody else. Like, you know, I moved out of the neighborhood just because it was getting to the point where it was pretty expensive. And so it's moving the people that have been out here out. But just, I mean, that would have said just like they're still in Garfield, they're still in Coronado, but that even that rent or that, you know, it's going up. So just the art is probably gonna die out a little bit, or like the love of it. But the people that's been here probably still stay here and still support it. I have no idea. I don't get into politics. Fuck Trump. Huh? Alright. You gonna edit it in there? Yeah, fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump.